Right, so something a little bit different this time. So normally our podcast is me sitting down with some of our staff, some of our students, some of our ambassadors, people who are related to the university, and we chat about what they've got to offer. A little bit different this time. This time I'm sat down with young Jack Murphy, who also works with our social media team.
They've seen our faces enough, I think.
They have, yeah. You'll see both of us on the TikTok feeds, on the Instagrams. You would have seen us. We're immensely popular, shoving cameras in people's faces, etc. But today we're going to discuss something that has become a bit of a trend recently in the last year, and it's called ICS, and specifically student ICS. Just for anyone who don't know, what would you class as an IC? What would you describe as an IC?
A lot of things. Like we were talking there before we started recording about how ICS has only become like a recent phenomenon.
Yeah.
And like I was like, I'm interested more in what because like if you're thinking back to when you were a student, like ICS obviously wasn't like a thing. But then how you feel from IC is obviously like if you just feel like yourself cringing.
Yeah.
And like, it can be whether at like yourself or at someone else or anything. And like there's so many specific things. Like I think an ick most of the time is usually for people when they're like thinking of like relationships or something.
They want to get rid of somebody. They want to
they want to
put it into their head
something that could be like a low key deal breaker.
That's it.
You know what I mean?
It's a deal breaker.
But then like icks then just kind of it's just become something where you just kind of like you're cringing at something that you would look at someone differently.
That's it. Yeah.
You know.
I personally think that icks are quite ridiculous. I think like sometimes I hear some of them and I'm just like, grow up. But at the same time, some of them are pretty funny. So we're going to go through.
We have a lot.
We have quite a few of them. I say we'll go through them.
We'll
go through some of as well from our DMs, and you've got some as well that we've not actually shown.
I've got some secret ones stashed.
So we have gone through these already. Me and Jack collected these together. The first one I'm going to start off with is something that I remember from my time at university. It annoyed me at the time. It still annoys me now because I just think have a little bit of respect, which is when people start packing away before the lecture finishes. Lecturers are getting up early. They're making a living. They want to come in. They're standing in front of a room full of 18, 19, 20-year-olds. Have a bit of respect for them. Don't start packing up 10 minutes before the lecture finishes because you can see it. You're not being elusive by doing it. You're not being secretive. Everyone can see that you're packing your stuff away. Have a bit of respect. What do you think?
I'm still in uni, so I'm worried that some people are going to might come for me if they think whatever my icks are about them. But like that one, I mean, I suppose, like I got called out a lot because I was consistently late to all my lectures.
I could never believe that in a million years.
Yeah, but like I don't think because like our class was quite short on numbers, so like I don't think many people would probably. I don't think many people would be packing up early anyway. But like, yeah, I suppose like when the lecture starts kind of like signaling that like they're coming towards the end, like people might kind of like start putting away some things slowly. But like, I think like it might be worse if you're in like a lecture hall.
Yeah,
where it looks a lot more disrespectful.
One person does it, and then it's like it creates like a domino effect. Everyone starts doing it after that as well.
Yeah.
So a little bit disrespectful. If you see you doing it, I'm going to instantly judge you. It's like, come on, have a word. Next one. Now this one's quite funny because I've seen this happen in real life outside university. I've seen this happen just in town. The half-committed run to the bus. You can see the bus is coming.
It's also the metro.
Yes, the metro.
I think that's a big one.
So you run into the bus. You can see it as on its way, and you don't want to go into a full sprint because you don't want to do that in the middle of the city centre because cringe. But also you don't want to risk actually missing it. So you do this kind of half-committed run.
It looks like you're trying to hold in yourself. You're like go into the toilet.
You're like running, hobbling along to it, and you look a bit daft. Now, I do have stories of when I've seen people like full on sprinting for the bus, and I'm like, I mean, fair enough, you got there, you did what you needed to, but you look a bit ridiculous.
And then you're also sweating.
Yeah,
I think I might have done it when I was younger. I'm not going to lie.
There's been so many times you get onto a bus and somebody like has just sprinted to get onto the bus, and they get off and they're just drenching.
Yeah,
and I'm like, oh no.
I think also it was one of my secret ones, but since we're on the topic now, in terms of like I'm getting like running for the metro or being late for the metro. It's also like a massive ick. It's like, and if whether it happens to yourself because you have that internal like. Because
everyone's looking at you for a good couple of seconds.
But like if you run to the metro and then the door closes on you just before, that's so embarrassing. Whether it's you that's missed it or you're on the metro and then you've seen someone that's gone up and they've just missed the door, like. Like you're looking straight at them. You're
And,
like,
and it's a good couple of
massive
seconds
ick.
before the metro pulls away as well.
Yeah.
So everyone's like staring at you.
Yeah.
You just have to stand there and accept your fate. Another one, this is goes for anyone who lives in kind of student digs, accommodation, or even just in like random student housing. Leaving chicken or raw meat, if you're a meat eater, leaving chicken or raw meat in the fridge and then you don't remove it until it actually stinks, until it becomes a problem.
I think a really bad one is fruit. Because like
Yes.
people could like get fruit thinking like, oh, I've bought fruit, I'm doing well, I'm being a proper responsible person, and then like they could like forget about it, and then the fruit could just get really really like just gone off, and then it could attract like fruit flies.
Yeah, grim.
Horrible. And then like in the fridge, like there's obviously you've got like your meats and stuff which you don't want to go rotten, but then like even other stuff like milk or cheese or something. I mean like. I'm like there's been occasions where like in my
Lumpy
two
milk is
years,
one of the worst things in the world.
yeah, like in my 2 years of like living in like student accommodations, there's been like an occasion where like someone might be just like away for a long time, and then like food
Clear
is
your
in the
stuff
kitchen,
out before you go.
and then
Simple
it
as.
just gets manky, and then what happens then is like you're noticing a smell, or then and then if you want to remove it, what's also really bad is bread. People leaving bread go rotten.
Yeah, I'm saying all this. I've definitely done all of these
Yeah.
things at least once or twice.
I think yeah, it can happen. Like it's very easy to like lose concentration or lose track, but like yeah, bread going moldy, just it's disgusting.
When you start uni, and there's going to be loads of people out there who've had this. Like when you start uni and like you start meeting new people and they come from different backgrounds, and you meet some people who might be a lot more, let's say, well off than others. And
Oh, like richer people.
richer people,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah,
And I'm
okay.
not saying there's anything wrong with it. Like
Yeah.
that's absolutely
It's
not
better
a problem.
off, yeah.
But people who don't really understand that not everyone's rich, and
Yeah,
specifically,
I think this hits home for you after what you were telling me, like why you got put it down.
yeah,
which is
and,
interesting.
And this one was a specific one that I've seen a few times, and it's actually popped up a few times on TikTok recently. This is why it popped into my head, which is when someone gets confused that you've never been on a skiing trip. Now, Jack, have you ever been on a skiing trip?
I have.
I haven't.
I have. When you brought it up and you said like specifically skiing, I was just kind of like keeping
Keep
quiet. But I've never gone to anyone and like assumed
It's
that
always
someone's
it
been on a
always
ski
happens in
holiday.
like that first year of uni when you're meeting somebody and they're like, "Oh yeah, I went skiing when I was younger," and I was like, I'm
Yeah.
like, "All right, great, we went to a caravan park for our summer."
I will admit that like any of my friends who watch this, like they'll know that there's a story that like I would say quite a lot in my first year, and then I got told off so many times by my friends that I've like never said it again, and like it just came off really like I don't know how it came, like it definitely came off kind of like from a place of not privilege but kind of like it was just embarrassing, like the fact that I just said it so many times. People are thinking like, have you got anything else to say?
Have you any bear crack?
Yeah, so I've never spoken that story ever again.
Good.
But although I still brought it up a couple of times, so like anyone watching and you think I'm going to say it, I'm not.
Yeah. Now, and again on that kind of similar vibe almost is when and I've witnessed this so many times, and it's hilarious to watch every time when you know the truth. Is when someone puts on a fake accent, like whether they emphasize their own accent more or they kind of become a bit of a chameleon of where they're around. And I'll be honest, maybe in first year I put on my accent a little bit more, which is very weird.
Yeah.
But like it can quite easily be done.
Yeah.
But I've seen it where people kind of like are from down south and they're putting on like a London accent. I'm like, you're not from the ends, you're from Surrey.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say it.
Yeah,
but,
because
like,
I would say that like, if you like your environment can be like a massive thing.
Yeah,
like
definitely.
like who you're around. So like for example, like I would never consider myself having a strong Cork accent.
Really?
No, I wouldn't, because like if you heard Cork accents that are like thick, they're quite heavy. I mean, they're distinguished. I don't want to try and put one on. But like if I was around like Cork people and Irish people, I feel like I think I just mumbled my words a little bit more, and then like I would probably kind of like not be more wary to speak more clearly for people who are not Irish,
Yeah,
because like
yeah, I
sometimes
get it.
people can find it hard to understand me. But I think most of the time it is actually just to do with my mumbling.
Yeah.
Because like a lot of people now, especially people who know me the most, like they'll be able to almost understand me through my mumbling, let alone the Irish accent. So it's fine.
this is another one that's like I've come. You can probably tell that a lot of these are kind of digging up some past traumas from university. When somebody says like, "Oh, I'm really skint. Oh, I can't go out tonight. I'm really skint," and I'm like, "All right, fair enough. You've actually got like no money. You're a student. I get it." but then like they're literally living off like the parents' income, and like they're literally getting money fed to them every single week. And then their version of "I've got no money" is "I've only got £800 in to last me the week," and I'm like, here I've got like £3.72 to last me till next month, like, and I'm still going to do something. Like, it's a bit more of like I just can't do it. I've got no money on us, and then like, yeah, you've got more money than I would have.
I feel like if people just say like they don't want to because they want to save,
Yeah,
rather
no
than saying
dramas.
that they physically can't, or they're like, well, obviously you can, you're just choosing not to.
Just don't lie.
Like,
just don't lie
yeah.
about it. Now, this is another little one, kind of going back more to like academic studies, if you like. And everyone's come across this one person. I'm sadly not this person, which I kind of wish I was. When somebody who doesn't study, doesn't work hard, leaves all the work to last minute, and the like best grades they can. And I look at them and go, "What are you doing?" Like, I get
not
sometimes
fair.
it's not fair. It's not. That's completely right. I was never that person. I could study for hours beforehand, and I would still get like rubbish results, which still happens.
Oh, yeah.
But like, yeah, that one's nothing for me. What was you? Were you more like that person?
No. I mean, I was definitely the person where I would leave everything until the last minute.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be there getting like naturally great grades. I think it almost annoyed me. It almost annoyed me more when I saw people in my course that would be doing like so much work that's just unnecessary.
Yeah.
So like, you know, there's like that end where like someone will do no work and then get great grades,
Yeah.
and then there's people where they're doing like just so much where they're making you feel awful. Where like you feel like I'm doing a lot of work, like I feel I'm putting in a lot, and then this person's like, well, we don't need to do that many words, or we don't need to do this much work, and then they're coming at and it's like, oh, I feel like I have to almost match that now, or come
Absolutely.
close to it just to like, I feel like you're slacking. So there's that one. But I was just looking at the list, and I know the next one's from me.
Yeah,
and
you explain this one.
It is, it is just irritating.
No, exactly.
I mean, like if you're on a night out with someone, and if someone, especially most of the time, it's when they're drunk. But when someone repeats the same conversation to you every time that you've met,
like you've never had it before.
like, and then like you want to be nice and respectful and not like a bad person, so you just kind of you nod away, and like you can almost anticipate the next thing that they're going to say. We're like,
Yeah.
like you just
I know
you almost
I
start
know
thinking
this
like, I've been
story's
here
going.
before. You're like, oh yeah, that's right, because it's happened 6 times.
Yeah, every single time I've met you, you've told me the same terrible story.
But then the thing, at the same time, I'm also worried. Have I ever done it? Or is it a me thing? Am I going to
Yeah.
people and I'm saying the same
Maybe I'm
things
that guy.
that
Maybe
they're
it's
saying the
that-
same things to
maybe
me?
I'm the problem.
Maybe.
Or like another one like that, and this is another one just off the top of my head, it's another one that people always tell people. They can't help but tell people if they went travelling before they went uni.
Oh, yeah.
Or I went to my gap year. They went like
Come back from Australia with an Australian accent.
Yeah. Or they start saying about when they went backpacking and like help in Thailand and helping out the elephants, and I'm like, yeah, you've told me the stories every single time I'll come out. And they're like, well, I always all relate it back to that
Yeah.
time. I was like, oh, you could be talking about like the footy, and they'd be like, oh, this reminds me about that time when I was back in Thailand and I was helping the elephants, and I was like, no one asked, like no one
Yeah.
cares. Shut up.
Yeah. I think another one as well. It's like I suppose it's a nick in itself is when someone's just too obsessed with drama.
Oh god,
Like, there's drama all the time
Yeah, I
in
know
uni,
people like that.
and like there's always a good place for drama. Everyone loves drama in like the right amount of dosage.
Yeah, don't get me
but like
wrong,
if you speak with someone and like it's just constantly the same type of drama as well, so like, they're not just kind of like there's no resolution. It's there like, I swear you've had this issue for the past couple of months, like. I don't
Maybe
know,
you're the problem.
What more do you want? Or like someone comes in at every conversation, like it's about someone or something, and you're like, kind of thinking like, is there anything else like you want to talk about?
Literally,
Like,
yeah.
I mean, like
You get any other
I'll
crap.
put my hands up. Like I'm a sucker for drama when it's not involved me, and
Oh yeah.
like after nights out, like in the right amount, and like I think everyone is really, but like when you speak to someone that's just like so persistent with it, you're kind of like. You do get tired from it.
It brings them into like the
becomes
their
a
center of
becomes an ick,
attention.
and then you don't want it to become an ick because you want drama to be juicy.
Yeah, of course.
And when it's being saturated, you're kind
People
of
just like to be the center of attention, don't they?
yeah.
I'm going to say this, and I'm going to end it because you'll know exactly what I mean by this. And it's a big ick is if you play rugby, end of conversation.
The next one is well, if your name is
Oh, who bloody hell? We're going to have to censor that bit, I think, aren't we? Just straight up say on the podcast who that was, but we'll keep that in the edit for you.
yeah
Now, another one that's quite a good one is if they think they're better, someone just thinks that they're better than somebody else. If they're better to be,
Oh yeah,
hanging
especially
around
on
with
like
you,
a student nights out.
yeah, on student nights out, they're better to be hanging around with you, and they always think, it always feels like they've got a better place.
It's like it's like a waste of their time. That
Yes,
like
that's
it's
it.
just it's no
It's
point.
tiring.
It is like a
no
massive
one,
ick.
again, no one's impressed. No one's
Like
impressed.
everyone's
by
there
it.
to have a good time, and then
Literally,
you're
yeah.
making it as if like everyone should be embarrassed to be there, like because you're embarrassed to be there. It's
100%.
massive ick.
Yeah. Now, this is a good one, and quite I can name some people from this as well. When someone makes their entire personality based around the certain location they're from. So, for example, if they're Irish, for example, no, I'm just saying the Mick. But like, there was some people who would be like, and again, just plucking names, places out of a hat.
Newcastle.
Like Newcastle, Manchester, Liverpool, those kind of big places, Scotland. Those kind of places
Yeah.
that have got a very much a personality about them. That people would make
Belfast
that
in Northern Ireland.
their entire personality, and I would be like, fair enough. Like you've got an identity, but like also like kind of we know we can tell where you're from there. It's in your accent. But
Yeah.
Like, have a bit of another side to you, maybe.
Do you know, actually, no, it's coming to my head because, so, you know, what gives me a massive ick, like a massive ick, is when someone is like away from where they're from and then they start wearing what, like the jersey from, so like, so say for example, you're from Doncaster. Let's just like throw something out there. And like, you've never been to watched like Doncaster play football, but then all of a sudden you're away from Doncaster and then you're wearing Doncaster kit.
I don't know. I think
Massive
I think that's all right because I used to.
Yeah.
I did that in first year. So I'm gonna correct you on that.
Well, you had like, what was it, like
Whole
Leeds
city,
or
a
Hull?
whole city, yeah. I had like a whole city jerseys and stuff like that, and I'd wear them about the place because it would be like representing where you're from. I get it.
I think,
I'm
but you
okay
like
with
football. You
Yeah.
you enjoy football.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if this person, if someone has like no, like they don't like football, they're not someone that's a fan of the sport. But then all of a sudden they're like away from Doncaster, and then they're wearing Doncaster kit.
that. I don't know.
And
I
I'm
think
just using
that's all
Doncaster
right.
as an example. But I think like if someone's not a fan of like football, let's say, like okay, so yeah. Yeah, if you're not a fan of football, and then you're wearing your
holidays
kit.
and festivals, people wear like jerseys from where they're from. Like you
also
see like loads of like Newcastle jerseys or whatever. I think that's fine. I don't really have a problem with that personally. But yeah, I think that one's okay.
You're gonna stand your ground on that one.
Yeah,
That's fine.
I'm not gonna sign that one off.
Yeah.
No,
And maybe it is me thing. I've just seen like some people, especially over like the summer, where like
it's always at festivals and holidays. Isn't it?
festivals and holidays, and people wearing jerseys, and it's like it just gives me a massive ick. I'm not gonna lie.
I get it. So for this one now, we're going to go through some of that we've actually received from our Instagram DMs. We'll put a bit of a call out there on our story, basically saying what are your student icks from real students who are kind of living it right now. So we're going to go through some of them. Some of them might not be able to use. Some of them might get us into a little bit of trouble. So I'll avoid some of them. Some of them already been mentioned. One of them is quite a simple one. I love the response to this one, just how it's worded. Just dutty plates. Dirty plates. It sounds like you're talking about some kind of Jamaican song.
Yeah.
But it's not dirty plates. Completely get it. It goes along with that one that I said about the dirty chicken. It's just if you're leaving your plates on the side for such a long time. I did this. I'm guilty of this. I'm not going to deny that I'm not.
Yeah,
if you leave it on
God.
the plates for such a long time, it takes 10 seconds. It takes long. It's always the excuse of, I'm just leaving it to steep. I'm leaving it to steep. I'm like, well, you put hot water in it, a bit of soap, you're leaving it to steep. And I'm like, it takes longer for you to do that and then wash it after than it does to wash it when you finish. Just like grubble. Do it straight away. This one's funny, and I've seen this happen quite a few times in uni and outside of it. People slipping on ice on the way into uni in the winter.
I've actually never seen it, but like I just imagine.
I've seen people do it in the mud before. That's mortifying. I genuinely feel like so bad. It doesn't give me the ick. It makes me just like mortified.
Oh, do you know actually as well? It's just coming to my head because like, this happened to me, and I was there like, honest to God, if anyone saw me, they would like biggest ick because, there was a big massive puddle on the road when I was walking, and like a bus came along, and I'm telling you now, like I felt like
Drenched.
a waterfall just
Oh,
fell on me. It was
no.
like a monsoon,
Brilliant.
and yeah, it was horrible. And I'm there like, could you imagine if you were like on the car? Because like I think I think I tried to run away from it or something, or tried to avoid it.
I'd run
Regardless of
away
what
from the
happened, like I
water.
didn't avoid it. I got absolutely soaked, and then you're there, like,
Superb.
you're there, like standing. You're like, well, what can I do?
That's brilliant. I like
Yeah, that's horrible.
That's not even. That's just like mortifying. Like,
Yeah.
that's bad. Someone put this one, and again, these aren't ours.
Yeah, that's not even
like,
ick, that's
can't
just
have,
me
so you can't have a go.
embarrassing myself.
Can't have goes for these ones. When people whip out pencil cases in lectures, which I thought was really specific, but like I kind of get it. It's quite funny. Like, I get if you had a pencil case in school, but like in university, if you're whipping out like your like. Do you remember the old Coca-Cola ones? It was shaped like a Coca-Cola
yeah.
can. Imagine whacking that out in the middle of, middle of
I
university.
swear I saw someone that had like an iCarly.
No
pencil
way.
case.
That'd go hard though. I think that'd be. I
That's
think
the thing. Like, if,
I think
it,
that'd
it
become
reaches
back
a
in-
certain point where like it's almost cool.
Yeah, I'd be. If someone if someone pulled out that in the
Drake
middle
and
of lecture,
Josh or something like that.
I'd be like, hell yeah, man, that's
yeah.
great.
All of a sudden, it's a conversation starter.
100%. I back that. Actually, I back that 100%. That's cool. If you get a good one, if it's not, then I do get it. Someone put in here, and I'm quite offended by this one. Lads who walk around in shorts and flip flops. Now,
Behave.
I'm very much a man who will wear shorts all the time. Like, I will wear shorts outside the house, inside the house, outside the house, whenever I can.
Yeah.
The flip flops, I wear sliders a lot, like around the house. I do that a lot. So, but I don't tend to wear them outside just because they're impractical. So, I don't agree with that one. I'm not a fan. Like, I feel that's been specifically targeted to somebody.
Yeah.
Lads in shorts and flip flops is okay. Keep it up, lads. You're
Yeah.
not doing anything wrong.
Oh, actually, here's the one.
Socks and sliders.
Socks and sliders, or sliders without socks.
Socks and sliders all the time. I wear those all the time. Like that is literally how I go about all my day to day. It's not.
And when I think of flip flops, I think of the one that has like the thing between your toes.
Oh no, that's gross.
hate those.
They're gross. Someone put people who leave their stuff in study booths all day but never actually sit in them. I've never experienced this. Can
Yeah,
you
but it does
elaborate?
annoy me when I see people go. It's no longer icks. I don't think. I feel it's just stuff that annoys me. It's when people
same thing.
when people go to the library and they'll be there for like hours and then like they just don't do any work. Like they'll go to the library for hours and then like they've come back from it and they're like, oh yeah, I done no work.
And the final got on for this one, and I feel like this is something you'd do personally.
Oh really?
Boys' bathrooms in shared houses, especially when they all have all-in-one shower gel, shampoo, and body
All right,
wash.
let's have a word here now because this is getting a bit out of hand. People think that I use 3-in-1 shower gels.
You strike me as the kind of guy
It's
to do it. though.
disgusting. No, I have one bottle for each. I have a shampoo, conditioner, and hair gel. I tell you what, like I don't understand. What am I doing to make people think that I have like
Because you're a
3-in-1?
student. You're a student. Like you can't.
I'm a student boy,
students
so he
have
must
money to
have it
spend
all in one.
A £10 or like all the
All right,
things.
let's
Just buy
put the record
the
straight. I do
3-in-1.
not use 3-in-1. I use 2. No, I'm joking. I use 4-in-1.
Yeah, everything you need to is there.
Yeah, hair, body,
Shaving
face,
gel,
teeth.
teeth as well. Yeah, it's all the same place. You can't get luscious locks like that, like mine with 3-in-1. You've got to get all the products. But that's the ones we got from the DMs. We'll just go over the final ones.
Yeah.
You prepared a couple yourself.
Yeah,
that
well,
we've
like you know,
actually seen.
still being a student, I feel like it was.
These are more specific
Yeah,
as
it was
well.
probably easy to kind of think of stuff. Now, I don't want anyone coming for me,
Yeah.
because like there's no one in particular from any of these. But this is one
Disclaimer:
where like,
the ones that we were doing earlier, these aren't specifically aimed at a lot of people. These are just
No,
generalizations before people come at us.
but there's a couple of people in mind. So yeah, but like so the first one anyway is this. So it happened to me whenever I was working in the bar, Victor's before this job, and then anyone else as I see. It's like whenever you see someone from uni working, like regardless of what their
Interesting.
job is, like
Interesting.
massive ick.
Is it like seeing a teacher outside of school?
Yeah, a little bit. Actually, so someone actually said to me like an ick they have is when they ever see a lecturer out having like a drink.
Well, that's exactly. the
Yeah,
same
but
thing,
like this one, now is more of a case of like if you go into like any like shop or pub or restaurant or whatever it is, and you see them working,
I
or someone
don't
comes in
mind
and
that,
they see
though.
you working, like you just get a bit of an ick.
I don't mind that though,
I can't
because I
understand
knew
why.
I knew people who worked at like bars in Sunderland and stuff like that, and you'd be able to
Yeah,
get
it
like,
shouldn't be
the
in it.
sneaky free drinks or the top up top up your spirit a little bit more. So
Yeah.
I don't think that's a problem.
And then this one is like it's definitely happened to me, but I've just probably like refused to put it into my memory. And then like it's definitely happened to like everyone. But like when if you say a joke and then you think no one's heard you, and then you say it again.
Oh no, like we heard you the first time.
Massive
mate.
ick. But there's also like if you catch
That's
someone,
awful. I got my skin crawling that
Yeah.
one.
and then if you catch someone trying to like have a conversation. So say there's like a group conversation, and like I've noticed it where like someone would be like talking to someone, but then the person they're talking to didn't hear them, and then they start talking to the person like next to them, whatever, and then like some people have heard that person like just not be heard, and then it's just kind of like you almost stay silent, because then either you just accept your fate, or you're just like really rude and you just keep on persisting until they like give you attention.
Big ups to the people who do notice though, and big ups to the ones that go, I was listening to you, what were you
Oh
saying?
yeah,
Big ups to them.
Legends.
They're the people you want to keep in your life.
Yeah,
They're the people you want to keep in
legends.
your life.
And then this one, no one in particular, no one being aimed at. However, anyone who plays Saturday League football and they think they're professional.
That's you.
I don't play Saturday League. I play Sunday League, and I get told by my mates all the time that I'm terrible when I'm not. But like, they say my first touch is bad. It's not. But like people who play Saturday League and they treat it really, really seriously. Like fair enough. Like you might get 10 quid to play a game, but like
You're not Premier League standard.
You're not you're not a pro baller. So yeah, it's just a bit of an ick. It's like it kind of falls into like if you take yourself a little bit too seriously because you play Saturday League. Like let's reel it in a little bit. Like you're
reel it in.
Like you're not a pro baller. You're not playing. You don't have a professional contract. You play Saturday League. Yeah, it's better standard, but like. Relax.
Nice one. Well, that's all the we've gone through. If there's any more that you know about that you've
comment below any icks we've missed out on.
Let us know. We'll get in touch with us because we want to hear more, and then we can maybe do like a part 2 of this, because this was quite funny. I really enjoyed.
Yeah,
this.
we might be able to get someone on.
Yeah, nice one. But a little bit of a different one for our normal podcast. A little bit more kind of lighthearted. But yeah, Jack, it
was a venting session. I enjoyed it.
It was a venting session. I think I've got a lot of therapy out of here actually, and also reliving some past trauma. So yeah, good luck. Nice one. Cheers, Jack.